Today is January the 19th, 2019. I hope that everyone is having a good new year so far. I am having a good one. Keeping busy in real life with the career that I have. When we start out the year, we're dealing with everything that we're trying to plan out for the rest of the year. So I haven't had a lot of online time, but that's winding down. And as I told you, my viewers, that I was going to stay consistent. So I had to make sure that I made some time to get back in here and finish up the series that we've been working on. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for spending some of your precious time with me. I am so grateful. I do hope that you will become a part of the family, and you can do that by subscribing and also clicking the notification bell, which will alert you to when I have uploaded a new video. This is the fourth and final segment in the series regarding body shaming in Second Life. I discussed if body shaming was possible in a virtual world. We discussed personal perception, cultural perception, and now we are bringing community perception to the spotlight. Just as in real life, there are many different communities in Second Life. These communities have their unwritten rules, or maybe I should say they have their standards. That would be a better term. To those that are on the outside of those communities, it may seem unfair, those standards, but if we want to participate within that community, um, we kind of go along with the flow. If that community isn't budging on their standards, it is typical for someone or some people to go off and start their own community where standards are more flexible, and that's fine. Um, but there are those that keep pushing for change. Let's just take the fashion community in real life. As the world continues, so do people. New identities are created, groups want acceptance and equality, and with that comes the pressure for some communities or businesses to supply the demands of these groups. Some clothing designers have answered and created plus size clothing. They've created lines for little people and also for those that identify as trans. Some designers have not answered. They will not. And, the question is that acceptable? It is. It may not be pleasing to the masses, but businesses have a right to offer certain services without being officially labeled as discriminating. And with that discrimination can come a hefty fine. So don't hold your breath on Gucci going beyond a size 12 in women's anytime soon. I mean, the thing about it is I understand, although, I don't like it. I understand it because when you have to break the mold that has been, what has made you successful, some of those companies that have their target demographics and they make a lot of money from those groups, they really don't have to budge when it comes to um, providing uh, items for other groups. And like I said, I wish everybody would do it, but they really don't have to. Um, so for someone that's a size 20 or someone that is an adult but is a little person, them protesting isn't going to make a dent in that business. And I'm just using, Gucci for example. Nothing against them, but I know that their women's sizes, it only goes up to a size 12. Now, for a younger company or a company with a different philosophy, any group that would come up and say, hey, I like your items, but they don't come in my size, it would be different to them because they are growing. The head designers or the owners are from a different generation, so they're more likely to conform and say, hey, let's offer this to the masses. But for those older companies, like I said, don't hold your breath, because if they're still making money and they have their target demographics, which may be someone that to pay $5,000 for a suit is nothing, they're, as long as they're not losing revenue, they're really not going to budge, and they don't have to. As harsh as it sounds, they really don't have to. They're protected. So now let's take this into Second Life, beginning with the most common complaint that I hear. That's just that I hear, not saying that there are not other complaints. People want to know why some designers seem to offer items for every other body except Beliza. Now, some consumers have taken this as discrimination, and it could be when it comes to some designers. I've read some statements from a few designers that say that they feel their designs are not appealing on Beliza bodies. I'm not going to go into, some of the other things that they've said, but basically we'll just leave it at that. And they have a right to feel that way, and to continue to not make items for anybody that they choose. Their time, their talent, and even their money is spent before any revenue is collected. So we have to remember that. I'm a Belize wearer, and my power comes in the form of not spending any of my money with designers who don't want to create for Belize. End of story. I refuse to waste my time by slandering anyone on a forum or going to social media because they won't make something to suit the body that I chose to wear. It's just not, it's a waste of my time and it's a waste of your time. So your power is spending money with designers who make items for the body that you chose to wear. Now, there's another side of this that I don't think some consumers are aware of, and it may even go deeper than what I know. For whatever reason, when the owners of Beliza released their body, not every designer was able to get the developer's kit. To I don't know what the criteria was. I don't know if maybe it was at a larger amount than what I see now because the developer's kit is out in the stores, but I know designers were asking for it because their consumers were asking, like, "Hey, I got the Beliza body. I'd really like to, purchase some of your designs," but they couldn't get it. Now, some designers patiently waited, and now they have the kits. Maybe they understood that the reason why the makers of Beliza didn't do it because it was an issue of wanting to protect themselves from content theft, which is an ongoing problem in itself. So I think everyone can understand that. But from what I also understand, that some designers took it as kind of like being disrespectful. They've been in the SL community for years and they've never had an issue with being accused of stealing anything, but they couldn't get the developer's kit. So they were kind of like, you know what? Screw it. I'm not going to make anything for the Beliza body. And I mean, nothing against those designers and also the makers of Beliza, because I don't know all of the specifics and I have no problem with anyone elaborating or correcting me. But those designers were like, if I wasn't, I couldn't get it when I wanted to, I'm just not going to worry about it. So it really had nothing to do with the consumers. It was something going on between the developer and the designer. So I think we should keep that fair and just not automatically say that a designer is being discriminating against a certain body type, because I think in some instances that's what happened. They couldn't get the developer's kit and they just were like, screw it. So let's go on to the modeling community. In SL, there is a community that seems to strictly deal with editorial and runway models. These are the models that are thin and extremely tall, and their frame has to meet, a certain criteria because of because of the designers. Um, and within that community, it's not like the designers are the models are starving themselves or they're being unhealthy. I mean, we have to keep it in perspective that the way that they design their bodies is to meet the needs of a designer of a certain item. Okay, so and it seems to be a very close knit community. And some of these models, like they have certain shapes that they switch out in for a certain look. And I mean, I've been to some of the shows, I've been around some of the models, and it seems like, it's a very enjoyable thing for someone that wants to participate in it. The most disturbing comment that I heard, and I heard this come out of the mouth of someone, it was during, um, well, I'll just say I heard this come out, and the person said that from the way that the model's avatar looked, they were supporting an unrealistic and unhealthy idea of the female body and what it should look like. So let me say this. There are people in the world that are naturally thin and naturally tall. Now that we've moved back into an age where we accept a fuller figure, it doesn't mean that we go backwards and we start not accepting someone who is thin or tall. There is a huge difference between someone being healthy and thin and someone that's dealing with an eating disorder. Trust me, I know. And long before you see the effects of the eating disorder physically, it's all going on in the mind. So that really bothered me. The person that was in the avatar didn't say anything, and um, she really didn't have to. I'm glad she didn't address it because maybe it left the person who said it, you know, wondering, or I don't know what. It was just the stupidest thing I had ever heard. And she went on to say, I wasn't going to say this, but I think I need to because she said it's unrealistic for Black women, which is so silly. I have relatives that are slim and tall, and they're just naturally so. So, this was just my take on SL body shaming and if it existed. Definitely, there are some of you who agree with me, some of you that don't agree with me, and I have learned so much throughout the comments that you left, and I encourage you to continue the conversation. You can continue discussing it underneath my video here, or if you decide to do your own video, or if you're somewhere on Facebook, please tag me in the conversation because I want to read more. Even if I don't see anything, I'm going to read because I'm learning a lot throughout this, and I appreciate everyone that's shared their comments. So, once again, my intent is to just bring things to all of our attention so that SL can become a better place. It's already a good place, but those of us that have been in SL for a while, this is my 11th year, we're kind of like, no, this is going to be my 12th year, I think. It is. It's going to be my 12th year. We are pioneers, and there are people that are just learning out about these virtual worlds. They're learning about Sansar and virtual reality. So I think, we have the time to clean up some myths and some things that we haven't been doing as well that we can do better. And I just think it's time for us to do that and to address things that we haven't talked about in the, gosh, how many years has SL been around? Maybe 14 or 15. Yeah, and all that time, some things haven't been addressed. And I just think it's time that we do that. So thank you so much for spending your time with me. I will be back soon with another video. You don't want to miss this next one I'm going to do because some of y'all going to be mad at your girl. But it's okay. We'll get through this in love. Have a good night, everybody, and thanks for watching.